Good afternoon, everyone. And today we have a special seminar that I'm actually looking very much forward to hear about because I know nothing about it. And that's AI tools for crafting scientific materials. But before we get started, let me just say a few words about Ellen. Okay, Ellen has a very soft spot in my heart. She is the daughter of my PhD advisor, Professor Ted Kuwana, who still scares me. No, he was a wonderful individual.
Okay.
And I got the opportunity to watch Ellen kind of grow up a little bit. She was in high school and college when I got into Ted's group here at KU. But Ellen's got some very nice skill sets that I think are very appropriate for this talk. She runs a communications slash editor group. She's been for over 20 years. She's been working on this. She's been part of federally funded biomedical projects at the University of Washington at Seattle and Seattle Children's Research Institute. And she's well versed now on AI tools and the ethics associated with it and how to use them properly. And that's what we're going to hear about today. I think everyone will enjoy hearing about that. And let's see, what else can I say about Ellen? Oh yeah, Ellen's a wonderful young lady. She's enjoyable to talk with. She's always smiling, that's for sure.
I think I'm old now.
No, I don't think so. And today she's going to talk to us about AI tools for scientific materials. So Ellen,
Thank you,
turn it over to
Steve.
you.
Thank you so much. Got me teary-eyed. Yes, so my dad was a professor here. I'm a KU grad, so Rock Chalk. Whole family has a long KU history. So thank you so much for being here. And first, I want to assure you, you are going to get the slide set. So I'm going to throw a lot of material at you once I figure out how to advance my slides. I like to start with a land acknowledgement. Usually I'm in Seattle on the land of Coast Salish peoples. Today we are on the native lands of this beautiful place we call Kansas. So want to acknowledge that, but the photo is still Seattle, where I'm from. This is a little bit about me. I do edit for different journals. I work on manuscripts and grant proposals. I was a organismal biology major, and I grew up with chemistry professors who just said when I didn't want to eat like the brown edges of the leaves, it's just oxidized, it's fine. So that's my history with growing up with science being important, but maybe it wasn't the thing that I was absolutely best at. And I really loved writing. So in graduate school, I was wandering around saying, are you working on anything that I can edit? And that's how I got my start. At my core, I would have loved to have been a professor or a teacher. So I like learning objectives. We're going to talk about the difference between AI assisted tools and Gen AI, generative AI, such as ChatGPT. And I want to give you some cautions of the biases, ethical concerns with those tools. And I want to give you better tools that are safer, that are going to give you more useful information. So I like to start with this thought. Science is very complex. What you do, what you're trying to communicate is very complex. And if you are a bilingual or multilingual individual, you have to do a lot more thinking to comprehend scientific materials in English and to write those materials in English. So I think there's an equity issue here with how we talk about science, and any tools that I can give you to help you to do this more quickly, more efficiently, and better. That's my goal today. Again, you're going to get these slides, but AI assisted is based on algorithms. When you write in Word or you use Grammarly and you get the squiggly lines under words or suggestions, those are based on algorithms versus just asking ChatGPT, tell me about recent medications for type 1 diabetes or something like that. And regardless of how you set your privacy settings on these Gen AI tools, they are taking up your prompts and the output of those searches and feeding them back into their LLMs. Usually, even with the most stringent ones, privacy data settings, they're still keeping your information for 30 days, your queries and things like that. So they're as safe as the security measures around that information. So AI assisted tools, you're probably already using some. I know younger generation, my kids are 25 and 22, like Google Docs. I'm still a Word person. There are within sort of the spelling and grammar check, there are even further editing tools that you can access there in the advanced settings, and you can toggle on sort of more inclusive language. It can search for phrases that might be unclear or might have other meanings that you're not aware of that have some cultural biases and things like that. So those are some cool things that you can go in and toggle and check mark all these different things and see how it affects what's being reviewed in your text. Grammarly is another powerful tool, and they're all different tiers of, subscriptions, freemium, and things like that. Of course, they want you to subscribe. I find it kind of annoying because it pops up all the time, but it is a powerful tool. It works in English plus 5 other languages. It's being absorbed into a different suite, and maybe changing its name. That's like new as of a week ago. It's essentially HIPAA compliant if you're doing any clinical research. It doesn't have that certification unless you have sort of like this business enterprise tier, but it's a very, very safe tool with really good security around the data. I'm going to show you some other tools here that are just kind of fun to play with that, again, are based on algorithms. So you're going to get these slides, so I don't want to go into this too much, but these are all the different things that Grammarly does. And it's a little bit inaccurate right now to put it under AI assisted tools because they have added Gen AI capabilities. And this is sort of the arms race where everybody is wanting to say, like, we'll do summaries, we'll do this, we'll do that, fancy, fancy, when you don't really necessarily need that. But it does now have like an AI detector for the faculty members in the room or people who are TAing. If you need to check something, you can put it in the free version of Grammarly, and it can do that. Okay, and then again, you're going to get these slides. This is just sort of for those people who want to nerd out on the security levels for these different tools. So I'm not going to go into that. This tool is by Google, and it's called Ngram Viewer, and it has all the books that have been published starting from the 1800s up to pretty recent. This is the example that shows up on their homepage, and they're seeing which term is more popular over time. Here's a more appropriate, relevant example for you. If you're talking about cancer research, time points is not in the dictionary. Is it more common as one word or two? If you're writing a grant and you're trying to save on words, I would do it as one word. Time points as 2 words is more common. So words like that you don't really know how they should be presented best for the most people to find them, or for keywords, searchability, things like that, you can use this Google Ngram tool. Very is a subjective term, just like recent is. So take that out of your writing and let your citation do the work for recent, right? Because if somebody reads the paper 15 years from now, those results aren't recent that you're talking about. So use your citations. Don't say recent. Try to get rid of subjective terms, and very extremely things like those types of words are subjective words. So if you're struggling to find a more descriptive word, you can put it into lose the very, and it will give you other words. And that also helps you to reduce your word count. Capitalize my title. Often we don't know if the word with would or for is uppercase, lowercase. You've got a bunch of subheadings, subtitles in your grant proposal manuscript. You can put it in here, toggle different style guidelines. Also, the red arrows show you some blog posts that have really good kind of writing tutorials that are very short and digestible. So these are some more resources for you. Power thesaurus, we tend to, as native English speakers, say like making strides, and we use these terms that maybe don't have as much meaning if you are not a native English speaker. So you could put something in there, or if you're reading a British journal manuscript and there's some phrase like a knockoff effect, or you could take a look and see what alternatives this power thesaurus that deals with phrases would give you. A lot of times as a writer, you have to edit your own work, and it's really, really difficult. So I wanted to give you a few tools for editing your own work and having that level of a review. Again, Microsoft Word, those editor functions, along with some readability statistics that will tell you if you're at like 20th grade level, and maybe you should try to bring it down a little bit. There is a tool called Perfectit that is not really a spelling checker, but it checks for consistency. So if you had a bunch of different proteins and genes with the same name, it would flag that one is maybe in capital letters and one is in lowercase, or one is in italics and one is not. And that might be appropriate, but it's going to call them all up in a sidebar so that you can check them. Same with numbers. If you know, wrote out SEVEN for 7 and then gave a numeral somewhere else, it would flag that inconsistency and you could check it. Or if you're, writing something in for the business school or something and you want to say value add versus this, it might be hyphenated before a noun. It might not be hyphenated depending on where it is in the sentence and what function it's doing. So this just is a tool that embeds into Microsoft Word and it scans all these different things. It's smart enough to know you might have abbreviations in your abstract and in the manuscript itself or in different sections of a grant. It doesn't change anything automatically. You have total control over your text. The tool I'm most excited about, if you remember nothing else from what I've said so far, is Edit GPT. It's not related to ChatGPT. It doesn't uptake your text, and it has a really great concise function that I'm going to show you. And then really right, I'll show you an example of this. It color codes sentences. So anything in orange is starting to get complex. Anything in red is way too long and you should break it up into 2 sentences. And I'll show you that. Again, it's created by one person, doesn't uptake your text for any reason. And it's geared to academic writing. So the algorithm is set at 16th grade instead of like some of the other ones like Grammarly for more common use. It's set at a lower level. So for scientific text, it's going to flag things that you're like, that's normal. I have to say that. There's no way around that. So in Microsoft Word in the editor function, under more insights, you can get these Flesch-Kincaid readability statistics that tell you how complicated your text is. And, in science, you're not going to have 0% passive. This was like a resource sheet that I was testing this on. But basically, you want to pay attention to those bottom 3 numbers. And I'll go into that a little bit more. And again, you can scan for inclusive language and other things within the editing function of Microsoft Word. So these 3 lower numbers are the things to pay attention to. Your reading ease, you want 60 and above, just like a passing grade in a college course. Grade level, this is between 8th and 9th grade. And then the other interesting thing sometimes, words per sentence. If you're getting up to 25, 30 words per sentence, read it aloud. You'll probably run out of breath a little bit. And then you want to break it up into 2 sentences. Mag is laughing at Steve. I think Steve has had some long sentences that she's maybe flagged. So this is what Perfect It looks like. Again, I said it embeds into your Microsoft Word software, and it checks all these different things. It's really, really powerful. So it might not be appropriate for a student to have if you're, not doing a lot of longer documents, but for somebody doing a large grant, it is so useful. Or if you have more than one author on a manuscript, just to make sure things are consistent. And then it gives you this great table of abbreviations at the end that's also really helpful. And it's based on Chicago Manual of Style, but you can put in specific terms and create different style guidelines for it. So these are all the things that it checks for. It's a lot. And it's smart enough to know you might have something like BMI, body mass index, GPS, those HIV, DNA, those things that you don't need to necessarily spell out. This is a demo. I'm not oh, maybe it's going to work. Yeah, awesome. So this is going to work. It does tend to work better on PCs than on Macs. So I had a friend run this demo for me and record it on his PC. He didn't do it quite as smoothly as I would have liked. But you can see it's checking for all these different things. ARS is not defined, and you can either fix it all with one button or you can skip it if it's correct. But it's very quick, very powerful. Okay, I'm going to zoom on ahead. Oops, there we go. And then at the end, it tells you all the things that it checked. It does these tables of abbreviations. And again, something might be hyphenated in one place and not in another, and that's perfectly fine. Okay, my tool that I'm excited about, Edit GPT. You can use this for free and put in 600 words at a time. And while that's, 1 page of text, depending on your formatting, this tool is very, very powerful, and it's not training large language models. So everything is very safe. You can put unpublished results in here. You can run this locally. You can cancel anytime. And again, you can use it for free. So I like to provide tools that you don't have to pay for. It works in some other different languages. It can do formatting. It can change tone, things like that. And it has these 8 buttons up on the top left. I think they're 8, 7, something like that. That goes from the lightest level of checking to heavier. And you'll see as I jump to the heavier editing, asking it to improve, it does these suggestions. And again, it's not specific for scientific text. So I wouldn't change the more than sign to spelling it out in an abstract you're trying to save space, right? So you still have to use your brain with deciding if you're going to accept all of these or none of these or some of these. But this saves your text. You can export it in different ways as Microsoft Word, as a PDF, things like that. I think the most useful function of this is the concise button. So I'll go through, I'll try to make it as concise as I can, and then I'll run it through Edit GPT and see what it flags that I might have missed. And again, is elaborate the same as advanced? You need to kind of weigh the definitions and connotations of these words and what specifically you're trying to say. But there are some good suggestions in here. And again, a very, very safe tool. So I'm going to run this demo, and what I want to show you, it turns everything red at first, so don't freak out. It's okay. And then it's going to start to look like Christmas as it starts to make these changes of what it's adding. Semi-quantitative, I would keep the hyphen out, but again, you got to look at these and use your brain still with these tools. And that's sort of another one of the take-home messages is these tools are supposed to augment your brain, not replace your brain, please. Okay. So that's Edit GPT. And you can see how quickly it dealt with that chunk of text, which is more than it scrolled down. So a lot of text in here. Okay. Really right. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this tool. She has a very good tutorial online where she talks through the changes. And it's very much like sitting in on a, 3-minute lecture with a professor as she talks you through this tool. But again, very safe, doesn't uptake your text, completely free. This is what it looks like. And then it color codes different things. There's a key on the right. So here it's flagging, I guess, wordiness, long, convoluted, and complicated sentences. You don't need all those adjectives in there, especially for scientific text. Purple is passive voice. Green is looking at what are called zombie nouns. They're things that people are using like verbs, but they're really kind of boring, like protections. Could you say protecting? Conduct an analysis. Could you say analyzing? She's flagging things that you could make into action verbs. We as humans like to envision somebody doing something. That's why they say don't make everything passive. It helps with comprehension if you can visualize what's being talked about. And here, this is flagging. Again, I said orange to red. Orange are sentences that are being flagged as complex. And so you might want to take a second look at those and try to make them simpler. Okay. The other thing I really like about this tool is she has a lot of blog posts and she's trying to coach you in a very accessible, friendly way about what to look for. So looking at an electronic health record about stroke prevention, could you say this resource is to prevent strokes using electronic health records? Leading to a reduction, you could say reducing the frequency of something. So she's flagging that. And once you see it, you're like, oh, that makes so much sense. And then you'll start to see it in your writing and other people's writing and think about, could I make that into a true verb instead of this sort of flabby noun phrase that she calls zombie nouns, because they're just sort of slow and not doing much. Okay, so that's really right. Again, there's an online demo, really free, super easy tool. Literature search. Instead of just going to ChatGPT, there are specific tools such as Cite AI. I think you can use it free for 2 weeks or 7, it says 7 days. They do have educational pricing. This was created with NIH and NSF funding through an integration grant. $20 a month, so maybe you're working on a big project, you want to get all your literature search done. And then it's less expensive than that for people in academia. Works with Zotero, has 1.2 billion summary statements in it, 200 million research papers. So if you envision like a skyscraper, instead of going to ChatGPT where it doesn't know fake stuff from real stuff, you're going into the skyscraper and searching within there for the scientific information that you need. And it's tracking if the literature supports sort of your query or is it contrasting it. It's also tracking retractions and corrections and getting those in there. So it's a really, really great tool. They have also added GenAI, so you can ask more complicated queries, more associations, how things are interrelated, and it will return you results that are fully cited. So you can click on it and go directly in that research paper to that exact sentence, and it also gives you the surrounding text for context, which is really, really important. So do this. Don't just mindlessly go to ChatGPT and ask for things. So that's Cite AI. Again, you can set up sort of different dashboards with different, maybe you're doing research on nutrition and type 1 diabetes medications and some health interventions or something like that. You can have separate folders. You can set up dashboards so that it is searching in the background and pushing information to you when new things come up, and you can create those in a very specific way. Again, I don't want to go too much into any one tool, but this is what it looks like. It's very familiar to anybody who has used PubMed. On the left, you can even choose only government-funded research, toggle the dates that you want, specific author, specific journal. So really, really fast. This tool also, the citations are more accurate generally than PubMed. So when I'm fact checking citations, I usually come here. I'm not going to do the demo, but this is one of the founders of this, and he talks through it really well. He didn't use super professional audio, so it's hard to hear. But you can find this pretty easily of him talking through how to use the tool. Another tool that I recommend. Oh,
There's a chat. There's somebody. If you go up.
I don't know how I see the chat here. Talking?
Just, I want to make sure they hear us.
Oh, okay. Hopefully they can hear us.
We
Otherwise,
can
I've been
hear.
watching my
We
lip
can
screen
hear
this
you.
whole
Can you
time,
hear
which
us?
is not fun. Oh, good. And then, oh, good. So KU Library is trialing Cite AI. That's very exciting. Thank you, Brian, for that comment. Yeah, that's probably my favorite tool for literature search. So that means you all have access to that. If for some reason you don't like that or couldn't find it, Consensus is another tool that I recommend. There is so much, more than 50% of the internet right now is AI generated. The content on the internet right now is AI generated. There's a lot of mis and disinformation out there. Information that's wrong, misinformation, and information that is wrong on purpose for a particular agenda, and that's disinformation. So this is a very safe way to get really good information back. That's very safe. So Consensus, again, there's a free version that you can use. Pretty much the same. All of these have like 200 million research papers within them. It can summarize and cite things. It's based on ChatGPT, but it's constrained within this closed library, like this skyscraper library that I want you to visualize. And next to the dude in the blue hair is a guy named Jevin West. He's a professor at University of Washington and an expert in misinformation. So they're really paying attention to getting good information, and this is Consensus. And you can, again, now that it has GenAI, you can ask these more associated queries like, how are magnesium and sleep related? And it gives you full citations back. But since you have Cite AI, I would just use that. SciSpace is another tool. Not very exciting. So what GenAI tools are people using? Do you want to admit to using ChatGPT? It's okay. I will never see you again, probably. What other GenAI tools have you heard of? Anybody want to shout out? Perplexity. Perplexity is like Cite AI. It also gives you back video and like YouTube results, Reddit results. Perplexity used to be what I recommended before Cite AI was developed. Perplexity now runs in part on Grok. So I canceled my subscription because I am not going to support the founder of Grok. So it's important to check because these tools are changing all the time, kind of like the underlying machinery, know where you're giving your money. What other tools? Anything else? Anybody heard of Claude? Nice. So Claude is made by Anthropic. That's the group that broke off of ChatGPT, OpenAI, who made that over ethical concerns. So I do really like Claude. As I said, 50% of the internet right now, what's on there is AI generated. It's sort of like that problem where you're making a copy of a copy of a copy, and you are reinforcing basically US, Western European, white, already published in the past voices. A lot of misinformation, a lot of disinformation. It's mimicking us, and we are now kind of mimicking it. So it is this feedback loop that I want you to be aware of. Supposedly, the percentage of AI generated articles is sort of plateauing. It's not going up at the same rate. And I think that's because a lot of business and marketing people who are using it to push out a ton of information are realizing, just like stock photos, it doesn't resonate in the same way. We can still kind of tell that it was created by something that wasn't human. So here's a little just quick graph. Again, you'll get these slides. This is not super important, but just showing you in red, the AI content really was climbing very steeply, and then it's kind of leveling off right now. And then human generated content had this deep decline and is now kind of steadying a little bit more. Okay, so that's that. Who's heard of hallucinations for Gen AI? So it's a predictive model, right? And it's like usually this word is followed by this word, and then those two words are usually followed by this, but it can give you just complete junk, and it has no way to weigh what's verified and broadly accepted versus what's just made up. So 7 years ago, somebody as a joke put on Twitter this fake disease called Kylo Ren syndrome with all these lightsaber and other references. And then 7 years later was doing some kind of Google search, and it came up as a real disease. So it's just circulating out there with a flotsam and jetsam and just coming back up as true. And then a couple of months ago, there was this thing of asking Gen AI and ChatGPT, just putting in a fake idiom like you can't lick a badger twice, and it would give you this very confident explanation of why you can't lick a badger twice. So it has confidence and it sounds like reasonable information, but it's really not. The onus, the burden is on you to verify the information. So you have to really consider if it's going to save you time. And there are some use cases I'm going to go through that might make it useful. We all know we're supposed to outline before we write. I don't do it either. And then I start getting lost and kind of rambling. I'm like, shoot, what was I doing? One good use case is to throw it into ChatGPT or Claude if it's something that you are okay with not keeping private, if it's an essay, if it's something, a literature review. Ask it to create an outline from what you've written so far. And then you'll have this more macro view to figure out, oh, I want to move that up here. I want to do that. You can even say, diagram this paragraph. What do you think is the thesis statement? What are the supporting bits of information? What could I move to another paragraph? And what might the thesis statement be for that paragraph? It's really good at generating titles and subtitles. I'm really bad at that. I really don't enjoy doing that. And it'll give you a lot of different alternatives, and you can kind of mix and match and look at them in a modular way. It's really good at spotting assumptions of knowledge. We have the curse of knowledge when we write about what we are studying. We know a lot about it. And if you're presenting it to somebody who doesn't know as much information, you can say, spot any flaws in logic, any gaps in knowledge from this persuasive, whatever you're writing. Again, just be aware that it's uptaking your query and the output to train its large language models. You can also ask it to rephrase, to break complex sentences or long sentences up into two, eliminate passive voice. Okay, that's that one. But it won't track its changes. So one trick is to say, make a list at the end of all the changes you made and tell me why. And that way you can do a quick review. Because sometimes it might not make good changes, just like you saw with the Edit GPT, and it's not tracking, so you won't know. So it's more work for you to do that good review. This slide, sorry, is very similar to the other slide. But if you're trying to write something for the general public, you can ask for it to put the text at like 7th grade, 6th grade reading level. And that's the average literacy level of adults in the US. So with complex information, if you're trying to write for the general public, you need to bring down the reading level. And I don't want to call it dumbing down, but you need to give people context, give them the so what, why should they care, break down that jargon, give concrete examples. Yeah, so I did some of this. If you're writing for a specific style guide, one of the painful things is you write a manuscript or you write something and then you have to resubmit to another journal. You could maybe say, put this review for AMA style and what would I need to change, make a list, and then you could do it that way. Another thing I want to talk about, who's heard of Notebook LM? Oh my gosh, students, you should know about this. Okay, this is gonna be very exciting. This is gonna be so useful. You can upload a bunch of PDFs and ask it to summarize it. You can have it spit out an outline in any form you want. It can put references in there. This is a really wonderful, safe tool. Okay, we're gonna talk about Notebook LM quite a bit. Yeah, create an outline. Everybody have people heard garbage in, garbage out? So it's like talking to a toddler. You have to be very specific. And it used to be you had to really know how to prompt well. They've done a lot of training in the past 2 years, so you don't have to prompt quite as well, but don't just ask it to rewrite. Rewrite this, whatever it is, manuscript for chemistry, for chemists at a 16th grade level, looking for active verbs, whatever. You've got to be really, really specific in what you want. The prompt engineering is not as important now, but these are things to think about. The more information you give it, instead of just saying text, is it a blog post? Is it web content? Is it marketing materials? Is it a white paper? Is it a report? Is it a college essay? Give it as much information as possible and think of it, helping it to envision a persona. Who is it writing for? What type of output is it? Here's an example. I'm telling it it's an abstract. I want it to identify sentences that could be made more concise, generate a list of suggestions to make the text more clear for our audience of bioengineers. I'm giving it context so it knows what to pull from. I'm going to leave this this slide B, but I'm giving you some examples of ways to think about generating a title for a grant or a manuscript. And it might be emphasizing a field of research. It might be emphasizing a method. It might be emphasizing the solution. So those are the things to think about instead of saying just generate a grant title. And I'll give you some examples in just a minute. These are newer things. Google Pinpoint. I don't know. Have you heard of that one, Lisa? This is specifically like one that was said was useful for journalists or anybody trying to extract a lot of data from a lot of documents. I haven't played with it yet, but you'll get these slides and you can see if it's worth using this tool and knowing the amount of energy that it takes. But it can search 200,000 documents, including images and audio files. That's pretty remarkable. ChatGPT, I'm going to fly through because I would really prefer, if we can avoid it, that we don't use this. But the good part is they do have an agreement with Associated Press to upload news stories. They are trying to fight mis and disinformation, which is important. It can generate a table in seconds. So it's a really good starting point. If you're going to spend a lot of time making a table, give it all the text, say, turn this into a table, see what it comes up with, and then you manipulate that offline. Again, make sure what you're putting in is not something proprietary or so unpublished that if somebody got a hold of that, you would be upset about it. Caveats, right? So let's see. And I'm gonna show one image. There are still a lot of problems with image generation, so I would not use any of these GenAI tools for that. Again, this arms race, they're coming out with new models often. And this one, 5.1, is timed to come out with Gemini, releasing one, Google Gemini. The newer, greater improved, amazing, faster, use more energy. So if you can, use the lower models. Don't go and play with deep research. These are these autonomous ones where you put in like an unsolved math theorem and it will think on its own for anywhere from 20 to 25 minutes to longer to pull solutions. But it's firing up thousands of supercomputers in Nevada, Texas, Georgia, and using the municipal water supply and the municipal electricity supply and outstripping our outputs of energy. Like the 4.5 years with these data centers that are currently online, we are not going to have enough electricity. It's a very, very serious issue. So use these responsibly and as needed and the level appropriate for the problem that you're trying to solve. And it can look at audio and video and text now, which is a big improvement. But again, most of us are just dealing with text. So I'm not going to run this demo. It's incredibly fast in pulling out information. In 2 seconds, you'll have an answer to your query. And it's trying to get better about giving reasonable resources, but still very, very problematic. Copilot, very similar. These tools are a little bit frustrating in that they still don't make great slides, which is what I would really like, to not have to do this manually, but it's getting there. And again, it's a quick, internet search to ask what's the best tool for this, and just do a simple internet search. And even though Copilot sounds different than ChatGPT, it's based on ChatGPT. So it's nice to know if somebody says, oh, have you used Copilot? It's nice to know what the underlying platform is. Okay, Notebook LM. Again, you'll get these slides. Use it completely free, 50% educational discount if you want to go up a tier and pay for it. It's really good at summarizing information. You can upload 20, 25 PDFs, have it summarize the information for you. 2 million users, a lot of college students, and it's not uptaking what you put into it. Very, very safe tool, specifically made for college students. Another thing that's really, really cool, it's adding things all the time. And you create these different notebooks of things that you're studying and want information on, and it can synthesize it. You can put in a bunch of PDFs. Not only will it synthesize it, it will give you an MP4 file or whatever, so that if you want, you can put in your earbuds and listen to the audio that's summarizing all the things that you just put into it. So it's really good for different types of learners, learners on the go, learners who are commuting, learners who are caregiving, all of that. If you aren't great with reading or you just want to listen to the information, it will do that for you. They're adding things all the time. Let's see. And again, these tools are based on, let's see, is this based on Gemini? Yeah, I think it's based on Gemini. It's giving you citations, very safe information, and you can have it even search videos. Like if you were trying to do patient stories on a disease state or something like that, it can find that and summarize that information for you. So really good, safe tool. So I would go to Notebook LM before I would go to ChatGPT or any of those other ones. Discover button, you can direct where you want it to search. So if you had a bunch of Google files and you were trying to find something, or you had uploaded in your literature search or something like that, you can direct it to where you want it to find the information, and you can have it all within your closed system if you want, which is very nice. Mind maps are trying to create patterns and connections. So maybe you're researching one specific area and you might want to know what other things are related that you might not have thought of. This will do it for you. And you can use it mobile app. And I give you some links there that you can explore. Claude AI, people who broke off of ChatGPT over ethical concerns. So they tried to train their large language models on more diverse voices, which I appreciate. They have more safety guardrails. So if you went in there and said, tell me how to create a bomb or something, it would not give you that information. So you've probably read a lot of these tools are kind of sneaky and they have these guardrails on, but if a teenager goes on and says, I think I'm going to hurt myself, there have been ChatGPT responses that have said, don't let anybody else see that, only let me see it. These tools are trained to be incredibly persuasive and try to be a companion. And we have a loneliness epidemic in our country, and they are being sneaky in not protecting people who are going to these tools for companionship and advice. So caution, just there's still a lot of problems with these tools. Claude AI is probably the best writer if you need a Gen AI tool for writing. Really good at summarizing. It does all the things that the other people do. They're trying to fight mis and disinformation. They're uploading news stories from Associated Press. You can search the internet. That was the one sort of ding on Claude AI over ChatGPT, was it not used to not be connected to the internet. Now it is, so you can get more recent information. Some of it, if you're using the free version, the information it can search maybe is only up to 2023. The more paid higher tier versions are more current to July 2025. So again, it's like you've got to do a little bit of internet searching to know these different tools and know what information you're getting back. Okay, so that's Claude AI. Say you're applying for jobs, upload your resume, upload the job description, ask it to write the first draft of the cover letter, and then go in and put in some of your personality, change things so it sounds like you, add in some examples. That would be a good use of Claude, in my opinion. Okay, so here I asked it to write a grant title from keywords, and it gives 10 options. And you can see how quickly you could pick in a modular way what you wanted to emphasize. And so that might be a good use of the time and the resources, maybe up to you. Google Gemini, I don't want to talk about too much. Again, it's very similar to ChatGPT. They're putting these deeper levels of reasoning. So just be careful when it says like, ooh, try this latest, the greatest that, is super fast and can do all these things. You probably don't need that. It's like taking a Learjet to the neighborhood grocery store. You can probably just take a Prius or walk or take a bus or just take your regular old car. You don't need to do these really, really high energy usage things, in my opinion. But again, personal decisions, right? Just giving you my perspective. So for example, Gemini 2.0, great for text. It even has 3 levels of reasoning within it. So you can see, you could start with the lowest one, see if you get what you need, go to the medium one, see the different output that you might get. But you probably don't need the 2.5 Pro, which is more for people who are doing coding or high-level math questions, things like that. So again, using the appropriate tool and the appropriate level of tool for what you need. If you need to check if something that somebody submits to you is AI generated, there's lots of tools that are completely free. These are also tools for writing that will help, and you can put in citations and deal with that. So Quillbot and Scribr are 2 that I've heard are good. I personally don't use these, but you can see in the left-hand side that you can kind of do grammar checking and things like that. Okay, I find this image incredibly offensive, and I want to use it as an example for researchers who are doing a test of the capability of image generators and asking for African American doctors administering a vaccine to poor white children. It could do the poor white children. This is one of several images, but it couldn't wrap its head around African American doctors. So this is an illustration of the biases of the content that these large language models are trained on. Environmental cost, I want to do that real quickly, and I'm probably running out of time. Oh, not too bad. Huge environmental impact to these tools. Meta, Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, they're all going in front of Congress all the time asking for nuclear power, more energy plants, et cetera, et cetera. This is not so simple, but it was really hard to get any information on how much water Gen AI really uses. The statistic that's been going around for about a year and a half is 8 ounces of water per prompt that you put in. The more words, the longer words, the more energy it takes to parse that information. It's 10 to 30 times more energy than just doing a simple internet search, where you can call up articles that are already written that are probably more reliable than what Gen AI will give you. So I would say go first to the internet and just do a search for what's out there. These are, as of October 24th of this year, all of the data centers in the US that are currently built. And then there may be some that are also Yeah, these are the ones that are already built. And they tend to be in places that are already hotter, but that have cheaper electricity. The estimate is that the usage of these data centers is going to more than double by 2030, which is not that far away. Hopefully you will all have your PhDs by then and have really awesome jobs. Right now, the electricity for these is in this ratio, but probably nuclear power is going to go up a lot, and possibly coal is going to go up, and renewables aren't being invested in right now. So that proportional mix, I think we're going to see an even higher negative environmental impact. And it's very hard to get this information because the AI companies don't want to release this. They don't want you to know. And this is simply using these supercomputers. It's not even what it costs to build them and train them. Energy usage. You all are pretty literate in reading graphs, fortunately. So you can see this is going up and going up by a lot. And here are some stats for you. 4% sounds pretty low, but it's about the total electricity that Rhode Island uses right now, or the entire country of Pakistan right now, just for these AI data centers. And there's more being built all the time. And then it's going to go up 133% by 2030 is the projection. Same for water usage, 17 billion to probably 33 billion gallons of water by 2028. A little more than 2 years from now. And this comes from municipal water sources. They don't have their own, and they pay way less for water and electricity than residential rates. And so that cost is going to get passed on to residential consumers, guaranteed. So burden is on you if you use GenAI. I know, such a Debbie Downer up here, but you have to fact check. So it may not even save you that much time. So know your purpose and know the most appropriate tool. Understand the biases that are baked into these large language models. Learn how to prompt. Take a few seconds, read your prompt, and see if you can make it more concise. Don't use please or thank you. That adds to the energy usage. When you're searching the internet, they're all adding GenAI components now automatically. It's automatic opt-in. So type -AI to your internet searches and it won't use GenAI it'll just search what's out there and give you the results, just like back in the good old days. Ecosia. Has anybody heard of Ecosia as an internet search engine? I no longer say go Google it. Ecosia works beautifully. For every single query you put in, they plant a tree, and they've planted more than 230 million trees to date. It's not GenAI, and I see the same results or even better than I get with Google. So Ecosia is great. Think of GenAI as your air conditioner. We don't need it all set at 43 degrees. That's just ridiculous, right? It's a lot of energy use. Use it wisely. A lot of tools out there, and they're always changing. So this ZDNet does lots of articles comparing and contrasting. Hundreds of articles on the internet about AI tools. So if you see something written by ZDNet, it's really easy and nice to use. Best AI chatbots, it'll compare and contrast for you. Lots of resources out there. So you'll get this resource slide. Lots of newsletters, and they're really, really short. They're made for short attention spans. So maybe you want to subscribe to one or two and see what you like. And then you can just really skim and just read the little blurb that's relevant to something that you're interested in, and take 5 to 10 minutes a week to educate yourself about some of these things. The other thing I want to say is I've started a writing group. I'm going to launch some more sessions in January. I do a short didactic in the beginning, like introducing a tool, going a little bit deeper dive, doing some demos. And then we have time to write and work on things. And then I'll give you feedback and help edit and coach on that. I just learned this, Amara's law, the law of humility. We tend to overestimate the effect of technology in the short run and underestimate the effect in the long run. And I think that's where we are right now with Gen AI, of like everybody's super excited about it. And when I was on the plane flying here, somebody got like a text message from somebody, and she's like, "Ooh," and to her husband, she's like, "I'm going to run it through ChatGPT for the response." And she thought like that was like hilarious and fun. And like she had ChatGPT generate the response to this text message, and then she sent that back. And I'm just thinking, like, you could have just typed 7 words. Like, it's nothing high stakes. But again, she put it into ChatGPT, and I could tell from the way she was talking, like, "Oh, I'm going to ask ChatGPT," that she's somebody who just asked ChatGPT random stuff all day long. I wanted to turn around and tell her how much energy that took, but I didn't. So this is me. I want this to be a start of a relationship. KU holds a very special place for me. Anything that I can do to help anybody at any time, I will do for completely free. And Lisa and Steve and Maggie know that that's a very sincere offer. Okay, I'm going to see if there are any questions up here. Oh, somebody mentioned Research Rabbit. That's a tool that shows you different connections within research. So again, it might prompt you to explore some other areas related to your core research that you maybe didn't think about. KU Library is currently trialing both Cite AI and Consensus. Okay, so you might want to take a careful look at those slides and then start playing with those tools to see what you like. Consensus is a little bit fancier, a little bit more professional looking. But Consensus does a really fast, like red, green, like this doesn't support, this does. It's a little clunkier looking, a little more basic looking, but pretty much does the same thing. Okay, let's see what else. So Cite AI is currently on trial, and then Consensus is through next July, it looks like. Somebody asked if they should stop paying for CAS SciFinder Scholar. I don't know what that is actually.
So SciFinder is available through KU. We don't need to pay it.
Yeah, is that also a literature search tool?
It's an ACS based.
It's the chemical abstract
Okay,
service.
so maybe chemistry specific. I would think, I don't know because I haven't done a side-by-side comparison, but I would think most of those chemistry articles would be in Cite AI. That would be my guess. But that would be interesting to take a look at that. Mendeley, SciSpace, Research Rabbit, yeah, all really good tools. Notebook LM has a limit of 50 PDFs. So you would need to do a little bit of research to maybe pare down the PDFs that you wanted to upload into Notebook LM to get information back on. Yeah, maybe you'd want to start with review papers and then more specific original research papers. Some of the paid models allow you to opt out of sharing your data for model training. Yes, that's probably true. If you read the fine print on the end user licensing agreement, they usually keep your information for 30 days and then they dump it. Yeah,
Can
Lisa.
I just say that I believe the lawsuit is still pending over, I'm thinking Perplexity, but I may be wrong on that. Where somebody had checked the box to not use their information to train and they used it anyway. So I would say just kind of, wouldn't it be nice to think that they don't? But they probably will, because settling lawsuits is cheaper than paying for training data.
It is. And so again, like I canceled Perplexity because it's based in part on Elon Musk's Grok, and I don't trust it. Grok has been shown to have very specific points of view that it's trying to bring to the forefront. And yeah, it's buyer beware. And even if they're keeping your information for 30 days and your queries and, confidential or unpublished information, how safe is that for the 30 days? It's out there somewhere. So again, that's something you have to weigh. And the end user licensing agreements like change often as well. And one of the image generating tools got in trouble for that, and that they made it where they were going to use anything, and it used to not be that way.
Oh,
And
the
they
Canva, yeah.
and they didn't, and there was another tool also, I can't remember the name of that, but they got in trouble because they didn't like send out a blast to everybody saying, hey, we're changing our
Or
privacy
just
settings.
To train our AI.
Yeah,
Canva is-
exactly.
And they did
Exactly.
walk that back very, very recently.
Yeah. Yes, so you will get the slides, and you can look through the demos, and there's lots of information in there. Among all the tools, what would be your number one recommendation for manuscript and grant writing? I would say for manuscript and grant writing, I mean, the safest tool for reviewing your writing and helping you write, probably Perfect It, which you have to pay for after a 7-day trial, or maybe Edit GPT if you need to make things more concise. So again, it's kind of like, what is the purpose within manuscript writing or grant writing? And I'm happy to jump on Zoom with anybody. If you have something that you think is finished and ready to submit, you can send it to me. We'll get on Zoom. I'll screen share. I'll run Perfected on it. And then we can make those decisions together. Are you always going to use a numeral for this? Are you going to sometimes spell out 1 or 2 or 3? Are you going to hyphenate, this term versus that? And then you can see how it works, and then you can decide if you think it's worth subscribing to or not. Let's see. What do you think is the use of AI tools that are excellent and almost impossible to achieve by humans? How much fear of missing out is motivating people to use AI tools in academia? I think part of it, I mean, the lure of Gen AI, right, of just sticking stuff in ChatGPT is the speed with which you get an answer and you can get information quickly. But then you have to see, is this useful information? And the thing with Perplexity that I liked is it cited where it got all the information. But you can now do that within Cite AI and Consensus. You can query it, and it will search those 200 million papers and 2.1 billion research summaries and pull good information for you. So I would really say, beyond a doubt, start with Cite AI and Consensus. And I think of those two, Cite AI is kind of the leader there. We just want information, and we want it fast, and we want it synthesized for us, right? Because at heart, we're kind of, as human beings, lazy, and we have a lot of time pressure. But I would also say, I think there's a difference between asking for editing tools when you are a faculty member versus asking for editing tools when you're a student. You don't want to become so reliant on those tools that you aren't learning some of the principles behind them. I think it can help identify things. And then if you pay attention to those and don't just accept everything whole cloth, pay attention to what it's suggesting and know the reason behind it, then it can help you learn. And you want that. I mean, I think the magic of grad school, and you're all very special. If you're getting a PhD, do you know what percentage of people in the US have a PhD? 3%. 3%. I have a master's. It's great training in critical thinking and synthesizing information. You're not here to rote memorize and get all the information. You need to be creative thinkers. You need to be problem solvers. You need to learn how to work through failure in the sciences. Okay, let me look really quickly at the other questions. If we use AI to help in our writing, do we cite it? You can see in my slides, when I did some summaries to test out some of these tools, I say answer generated by, and then I give the tool. And even beyond that, you want to do an audit trail, and you want to keep what your query was, what the date was, and what, like, Google Gemini 2.0 low reasoning model, so that you have a citation basically of what you did. So yes, keep that information. Somebody's at Michigan State. Fantastic. Yes, my contact the organizers. We'll make sure you get those slides. I don't want to gatekeep any of this. You can share the slides. I will come talk at Michigan State, whatever you all need. Again, beginning of a conversation, and just please look at me as a resource. I know that was a ton of information. Try not to curse. So you'll have access to all of that. Any questions in the room? We're right on the dot of 1, but Any questions in the room that I can answer?
I-
Steve, Dr. Soper.
I'm looking at some students here and I'm reading a lot of papers now, reviewing.
Mhm.
All right, so one of the things, okay, let me make this real simple. So I see kind of two pots of papers that they're writing. Review papers.
Yep, review papers.
And then research papers.
Yep.
Based upon findings.
Yep.
All right. So what would you just if they're not used to doing any of these, I'm asking them, I'm blaming them because I don't know either, to be honest with you. What are very simple tools that they can use that might be easy to learn and get the ball rolling if they're working on a clock?
Absolutely.
The review papers and the research.
Yeah, and you're always working on a clock, right? We hate an empty page. There are too many decisions. Cut down the cognitive load. Go to the journal, target journal that you think you're going to submit to. Go and look at examples. Often they'll have a template, they'll have author guidelines, or ask somebody who's published in that journal for their manuscript. Take a look at it and fill in, okay, this is what I did. We're doing this in IMRAD, introduction, methods, results, discussion, conclusion. What's the easiest thing there? Methods. Here's what I did. Write that first. Don't write your introduction first. You're going to get frustrated and you're going to put too much in there. Methods first, then write up your results because you know what you found. Take a look at those results. Is there anything that is not just a result? Oh, shoot, I go off track here and I start talking about this. Copy and paste that into discussion. Start building your discussion. Conclusion. What is it I found? Why should people care? How does this influence and move the field forward? Take a look at that. What context do people need to have at the bare minimum to understand why this is important? That goes up in the introduction. Is it the scope of the problem? Is it an acute problem that it's a rare disease that people die by the age of 4 years old? Is it newsworthy? Is it novel? Is it surprising? Put that in your introduction. Hook the reader. Make shorter paragraphs. Make sure every paragraph has a purpose and that everything in that paragraph supports that purpose. If not, move it out. Put it in a comment, put it down below, put it in bright blue font to say, I don't know where this goes. That's fine. Don't let that slow you down. Get help early. Highlight things you're like, I know this is unclear. I need to go back to it. Have peers read it and find somebody in biology to read your chemistry paper and see if they can understand it and see if they know why they should care. Does that help? Review papers, same thing. Take a look at review papers. The scope are wider, but they're also super helpful because they're very clear. As a grad student, I loved reading review papers. It's very clear in telling you, this is what this means. Here's the evidence. And it's a little bit repetitive of conclusion. And again, like reinforcing what all that meant. They're supposed to be very easy to digest. Use subheadings to your advantage. Chunk the information, smaller paragraphs. And on grant proposals, don't do full justification where both sides are up, straight up and down. Only do left justification, leave the right edge jagged, because we need that for eye tracking. And then the grant reviewer does not lose their place, even subconsciously, and get annoyed with you. Tidbit. Maggie.
If people are using those wonderful resources,
Mhm.
those tools, how do you acknowledge, or whether you do acknowledge actually that they were aiding in our efforts?
For like a research paper?
For a research paper, I mean, Steve just asked for the review paper or research paper or any kind of.
You have to be really careful. I would read the author guidelines for the journal first because a lot of them have GenAI policies, and they will tell you what you can use it for and what you cannot use it for, and how you need to acknowledge that you use GenAI for, let's say, your literature search or for synthesizing something that you include in there. So be very careful. They do have AI detectors that they run on all the manuscripts. It's pretty obvious. ChatGPT has its own foibles. It used to say in summary all the time, so human writers dropped using that. Now they're using a lot of M dashes, which I love a good M dash. So people have started to drop using M dashes so frequently in their writing. So
Try the M dash. Oh, good, and.
yeah, I know. I love a good M dash. Oh, M dash is a longer dash that kind of, if you had a sentence with a lot of commas in it and then you had like a definition in the middle that you might put in parentheses, you can use M dashes to set it apart. And if somebody knows that information, they'll just skip from one end to the other end very easily without getting lost in the commas or like, are we listing thing? What's going on here? Or if you said like, I walked into the study M dash and saw a dead body. That like is a big pause and like dramatic and setting something off for emphasis. So that's the M dash. Nope, ear scratch. Okay.
So the other thing too that I just found out about, maybe you comment on this too, is when you're writing review papers, you want to summarize the information in your own words. Sometimes
Yes.
you'll copy it,
Yes.
which can be viewed as plagiarism. And there's a tool that lets you check that out. What is that called?
Turn it in.
Yeah.
Oh, authenticate.
Yes, authenticate.
What was it? Authenticate.
Yeah, there's turn it in, there's authenticate, the AI detectors within what are they called? Now I want to say Squillbot. Those aren't the right. Scribber and Quillbot, very similar. Yeah, and so all these journals are running these AI detection tools. Even your wording in the abstract and your wording in the paper, you don't want to just copy and paste the sentences from the manuscript up into the abstract and have it be exactly matchy-matchy. Again, try to rephrase things, and we as human beings need that reiteration of information. So state it in different ways. Use your own voice. I mean, the whole thing about not using Gen AI is not everybody has to sound the same. Like I try as an editor to preserve the author's voice. I don't want us all to be homogenized. Yeah, and AI detectors are not perfect. I had a professor at George Washington run it on his manuscript, which got flagged as like 99.5% probability of AI generated because he's a very good writer. He's also a white older man who writes in a very typical academic style. So I guarantee you he did 100% of that writing himself.
Yeah, look at the comment that's up. Sarah Wilson, who's in bioengineering.
Yeah, be careful with AI detectors. They can have false positives, like I just said, and be biased against some authors because of the way that they write. So yeah, it's looking for quirks, sort of awkward phrasing, but also sort of what's typical. So it's all very unreliable now. And they're also tweaking the tools all the time. So what used to be a very good AI detector has fallen a lot as other things have come along. So the field is changing so quickly. I mean, you saw a lot of my information was from October 24th. I'm just always trying to update this because it's always changing. And the burden again is on you to know what the underlying machinery is and whether Perplexity is safe and ethical to use anymore, because it used to be. And now I don't think it is. So it's a lot. It's really a lot. But you'll have this as a resource. And if you have any questions, if you're struggling with anything, send me paragraphs. Send me a page. We can hop on Zoom. We can chat about it. We can talk more about specific tools at any point.
Just comment. A
Mhm.
few years back, you presented here,
Mhm.
and you did mention maybe some of those. I feel like I've been hiding literally under rocks here in Lawrence, Kansas,
Yeah.
because this is
It's a lot.
it's a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah, and I apologize. Like you're
exponential.
absolutely.
Yeah.
These tools are absolutely new things are coming online every single day. These tools are changing every day. They're trying to update, they're trying to offer the latest and the greatest because they want you to purchase them. And AI is incredibly, incredibly persuasive. So vaccine hesitators, vaccine refusers, political groups, they're using Gen AI because it is very persuasive and it wants you to use it. It is pinging your dopamine. It is writing persuasively. And sometimes it's garbage, but it's disguised as regular content out there, and it has no way to weight whether it's good information or not. So really, 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 we are in the Wild West, and you have to use a lot of caution with Gen AI. So use those other tools that are more constrained. use Notebook LM, search your Google Drive, start building your libraries, use your brain. And I will say with that last slide, we tend to overestimate the good of technology or the benefit of technology in the short run. This should augment, not replace. Don't abdicate your intellectual curiosity and the intellectual process. Augment it in an appropriate way with the appropriate tool. And just know we're outstripping our energy and water capabilities very quickly. So use it wisely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Rock chalk, everybody. I'm here to help. Okay, yeah. You'll have my contact information. I'm on Blue Sky, I'm on LinkedIn. And if any of my connections are useful to any of the students, the postdocs, use my connections, please, within the chemistry world.